Hello and welcome to episode 104 of the ESO Top 5 Battles. If you want to send in your clip for the Top 5, you can send that to KristoferESO@hotmail.com. And we're actually going to start off with the bonus clip today, and this is a clip sent by El Loco Vibes. And he is running a Bomb Dragonknight, Master 2H, Plague Breaker, and just look what he does. He pops the corrosive armor, gets great durability from it, the complete armor ignore on the opponents, and he just goes for a huge amount of cleaves. Some of those were hitting upwards of 19k, and he drops half the blue group with that. His friends all go down. He goes for the next corrosive armor, and look at the explosion off of the cleaves into the Plague Breaker. And he has effectively killed this entire group by himself, turns around, gets the res on his friend, stops the res from the blue player, and then he just goes right back to putting pressure on with the cleaves here, switching his buffs out, going again for the corrosive armor, and he just starts swinging, and look, when the explosion goes down, he hits a big cleave there, the Plague Break goes off, and 3 more players down, and he finishes off the last guy, and his friends just pick each other up. What an insane wipe. Now, moving on to our next clip here, we have got VexxPK, and Vex has been playing a lot of Stamina Dragonknight over his years, and he has got one pretty interesting build here. He's playing a main hand bow Stamina Dragonknight with the 2H on the back bar, and he's in a really rough position. He's got a lot of players chasing him. He's got Siege shooting at him from the tower as well, and Vex just doing a great job tanking things out, going for his heals, turns around, lands this snipe into the Fossilize. The enemy players coming down with pressure, and Vex just goes for a kite through everybody, drops down the side, and look at his healing power on this build. He's hitting 12k heals with his Dragon Blood there, no crit, and his Vigor is ticking for 3k no crit as well. Vex is rocking a ton of healing power on this build, and he just goes for a little bit of a kite backwards here, trying to reposition out of the siege, but it's not going to happen. The enemy players just set up a new catapult. They all continue to chase Vex, and he eventually gets himself into this cubby hole here, and the enemy players start closing in. Vex goes for a roll through them into the corrosive armor, and right away the snipe into the Fossilize, the whip. One player goes down there. Vex again starts feeding these guys snipes, and I think the idea here is to get the burst from the snipe, but also get that disease and put a lot of pressure on them with the dots that he has on this build, and Vex taking a lot of pressure from these enemy players. He goes into mist form here to try to escape. The enemy players continuing to close on him here, and Vex just continues to kite back. He does have a friendly player in here. It's Nice Gaming, and he's on his Necromancer, and Vex manages to get himself to a safe position here, and the enemy group charging on in. Vex goes for a few snipes on the one player coming down the corridor, takes a lot of damage from these guys, but look at that crazy healing power. Vex very quickly healing up, right back to full health, and kiting out the enemy players at the top. He gets a Fossilize on this guy coming in that's very kind of low on health here. Vex switches into the bow ultimate and gets really good damage on him. There you see that 3k dot tick with the 1k other tick on there, bringing down that opposing player, and Vex right away switching to the next target, and he tries to land the whips on him, gets some decent damage in, unfortunately kind of body blocked by the other players, but there's the breath to finish that guy off, and Vex just quickly resetting his buffs, running right back through the enemy group, and applying pressure with the corrosive breath, getting a good amount of damage on a player in the back there. There's a big crit on the snipe. He hits him with the Fossilize, tries to feed him the whip. The enemy player going down to the dot ticks, and Vex just rolls back outside, resets his heals. Nice has gone down up top, so Vex is all alone by himself, but there you see a beautiful counter on the player trying to go for the res. Vex very quickly punishing this guy, very low on hit points. Vex keeping the pressure up. The dot tick slowly wearing this guy down. Vex goes for a mist out of there into a huge 16.9k heal off the Dragon Blood, and he finishes that player off as he gets back through the enemy group, and he's just kiting through these guys, making them turn around as much as he can, keeping the pressure up there, unloading all the dots on this enemy player. He tries to run away. Vex actually goes for the ultimate. It ends up sticking to another player, but he catches that guy off guard, gets a huge amount of damage into him, and again, that last tick of the bow ultimate, bringing that enemy down, and Vex just keeping up the pressure on the last guy here. The enemy Dragonknight doing his best to out-heal this, but Vex is applying a lot of dot pressure, the disease from the arrow as well, And the enemy DK still keeping his heals rotating. Another Templar drops from the top here. Vex switching targets to the enemy Templar. The DK very tanky, and he puts huge dot pressure into the Plar. The Plar goes for a few jabs and then very quickly starts spamming Breath of Life. And more players start to converge on Vex here. Here comes the incoming Meteor as well. He missed his way out of that sticky situation. Gets back up to the top here and just quickly throws down a Vigor. I can't get over these 3k no-crit Vigors that he has on this build. It's absolutely amazing. And Vex again flexing that huge healing power after landing a big combo on the player that comes up the staircase, finishing that guy off too. And he jumps down the side here, but taking a lot of pressure from the other players. 2 Lightning Staff players just kind of rotating the heavies. Catches this guy with the Fossilize into the whip. A nice 10k crit on that. He ends up going down, and here comes in the enemy Siege. Vex gets that 12k no crit heal. Oh my god, that is insane. I don't know how he has this kind of healing power, but it is allowing him to survive and keep the pressure on these guys. And he goes into the bow ultimate after dotting up the enemy Templar here. The Plar trying desperately to heal himself to stay alive. Look at those dots just chunk his health away. And Vex switches to the snipe into the whip. Gets good damage with the combo. The enemy Templar kind of caught in the middle of a heavy attack. Vex trying so hard to put this guy down, but he just keeps pounding those heals. The Siege is coming in from the doorway there. And Vex is going to have to give up on that one. He quickly turns around, dots up the enemy player in the doorway. Again, more Siege bombing down on him. But Vex is going to turn around, put good dot pressure into this guy, and feed him some whips. The enemy player going for the dual-wield poke there. And yeah, he definitely should have tried to heal himself. And Vex is just going to move back towards this enemy Templar who escaped before. That's so much damage coming from the Siege. But again, Vex has got that big boy healing power. Manages to very quickly tank it out. Dots up the enemy Plar again and feeds him the bow ultimate. The enemy Templar just pounding Breath of Life. And Vex is just going to keep rotating these combos on him. Finally landing a good snipe into the whip. And the enemy Templar just can't keep up the healing power. Look at that Siege! Oh my gosh, it almost completely kills him from full health. Vex very quickly just healing up, finds a guy at the bottom here, and Vex just dots him up, goes for the snipe, into the whip, the Fossilize. Such a classy combo, and down he goes. Moving on to the next fight, we've got Himiga coming back in another episode for us. And he's on the Stamina Nightblade, going for some ganks down in the Imperial City. Right away picking off 2 players there, and the enemy players are putting some heavy pressure into Himiga for going for that combo. He gets back behind some safety here, sets down that safety shade, and goes into stealth, lands the heavy on the first player there, sees that he's actually really bulky, and Himiga not committing to that player, right away trying to switch targets. And here he goes for the shade just to reposition, get back to a safe location, and the enemy player's trying to land the hit. He manages to get into stealth. There's a nice heavy attack, unfortunately connecting again with that tankier Dragonknight, and Himiga is not going to commit to that. He just right away is going to reset the shade and re-engage with these guys. And he's being patient. He's not committing to a dangerous combo if he can help it. There you see a nice stun on that incoming player, and then right away pulled by the tank Dragonknight. Himiga's just going to shade into safety again, reset his shade, and he heals up with the Vigor. And Himiga finds a good target, puts good damage into him, trying to land the surprise attack. The enemy player just running out of distance, stealths up, gives him the final poke, and resets his shade. And the enemy player's just trying to keep the pressure on him, but Himiga doing a great job using his terrain and the stealth and the shade just to kite these guys out. He gets into cloak here, and the enemy sword comes around the corner. A huge combo from the heavy attack into the ultimate, the light attack, surprise attack, and he nukes that player and gets back behind the gate there and goes for the teleport to his shade. The enemy player actually trying right away to get the res. I believe that was that tankier Dragonknight, and he's going to make this fight very difficult for Himiga because he's going to be a difficult target to take down, and he's going to be constantly resing and interrupting him with the pull as well. Himiga just doing his thing, moving around the outside of the group, finds a good target there with the heavy attack into the ultimate, again, and then he takes a lot of pressure from the enemy group, managing to shade to safety and just getting into cloak with the enemy Radiant coming down, and Himiga again setting down a safety shade. The enemy sword coming forward, spamming the stealth detect, And he retreats back around the corner, taking a lot of pressure, getting a block on that meteor as well. And he gets back into stealth, noticing again that a tankier player is the one that's the first one around the corner. So he just shades out, resets his shade, and here he takes pressure from the enemy Templar, waiting on top of the shade. Himiga goes for a bit of line of sight, back into stealth, and there's the heavy attack. He tries to land the ultimate. Unfortunately, the enemy player just moving out of distance of it, but he does not react well to the incoming damage and the stun there. Himiga just able to rotate for huge damage on him. Gets a great stun on that enemy player out of stealth, popping up behind him. And there's the light attack, surprise attack to finish him off. The enemy warden coming around the corner, throwing down some AoE, and Himiga right away hits that heavy attack into the surprise attack, puts good damage into him, and he resets into stealth here. And then right on top of this enemy Templar, brings that guy down, just putting big damage into these guys. The stun from the NPC there actually sending him flying, but he keeps the pressure up. A great combo on that Sork, bringing him down. Himiga just getting right back into stealth, resetting his shade, catches this guy from the flank with a surprise attack, hits him with the stun, and then another light attack, surprise attack to finish him off. Himiga again gets back behind terrain, goes into stealth. This time he actually gets pulled out. The enemy players going for the reses right away. Himiga just resets his shade, resets his vigor, and gets into cloak. And now tries to unload a combo on this guy. He hits him with the stun. That guy does not break it. Himiga allowed to just rotate, quickly finishing him off. And there's the ultimate out of stealth into the light attack, surprise attack, and then a really quick poke to finish that guy. And the rest of the yellow players just run back to the spawn. Only the tank stays here. Himiga puts some pressure into the tank, but the Dragonknight's blocking a lot of those attacks. He sees some more yellow players coming into the fight right away, goes for a combo on this enemy Sork, getting the block on the meteor, and there's the light attack from the bow into the roll to finish him off, and the rest of the yellow don't end up coming back. Moving on to our next fight, we have got Shadymm ESO. He's playing some Magicka Dragonknight, just hanging out inside this keep here, trying to do his best to defend it. I actually think that Shady might be Ebonheart Pact here, because it does look like the guards are shooting at him too. And yep, he's putting damage into the guards, so he's actually in a pretty rough position here. He doesn't have a lot of safety, and the blue players really chasing him down. And Shady manages to get a great leap right away, going into the dot pressure and the whips on this enemy player. Hits the talons to immobilize everybody. This guy doesn't roll out of the talons right away, and Shady unable to stick that combo out. Forced kind of to retreat, reset the buffs, reset the heals, and then Shady right away starts to work on the next target, getting a good stun on this Dragonknight. He does not break it right away, and Shady able to put big damage into him and finish him off. And there's a leap into the dot up as well. This out of their stamina Dragonknight just caught with his pants down, not healing there, and Shady very quickly finishes him off. And now it's just the enemy Templar left. Shady just gets a nasty fossilize into the whip. The damage over time from Dragonknight, something else. And then Shady continues to head towards the siege line here, trying to finish off some more of these blues. The AFK player there feeling the wrath of Dragonknight, and then Shady jumps on top of the siege. The enemy players shoot the siege at the ground right away. Shady decides that he doesn't want to sit there and try to tank that out. And as Shady gets behind the pillar, he goes for the dot up on the first player that follows him. Big leap, doesn't even need to land the whip. That guy goes down. It looks like the enemy warden did manage to get the res off, but Shady's just going for big pressure on the warden. Sees the res player get up, feeds him the fossilize into the whip, quickly finishing him off, and then switches to attacking the sorcerer here. The Sork just kind of feeding him a lot of damage in close range. Shady putting some good pressure there with the dots into the fossilize, switching targets again to the warden, putting nice damage into him, hits him with the fossilize, throws down the talons. A lot of drain on the stamina bar doing that, and Shady just finishing off the warden. And a Dragonknight comes in here, and Shady just quickly dots up the DK. This guy trying to get the res. It looks like the warden actually just respawned instead of taking the res there, and Shady's going to quickly land a bash to prevent the res from this other sorcerer here. And He's just doing a good job throwing down a lot of AoE. I love the use of talons, just great control, preventing these guys from staying easily within melee distance of him. And Shady just keeping up a lot of AoE dot pressure on these guys as well. The chip damage is going to be really helpful as he tries to pick out a good target to take down. This guy really committing to the res, and Shady sees more players coming in. He's not going to be able to defend and try to stick that out. Also very low on Magicka there too, going for the rest though. Heavy attack, comes around the corner, throws that leap down, but I think that was more of a defensive slash get your resources back leap. Shady didn't try to pursue any kind of offensive pressure after that, and just resets the buffs here. And he's got a bit of a safe spot in this wall. He can do a good job just line of sighting the range damage. The archer player ends up following him in here. Shady, again, just switching to a different part of the wall, using the walls to line of sight as much range pressure as possible, but in come the enemy players from behind there. Shady taking a lot of pressure, and again, that Dragonknight healing power, managing to tank that out with the damage shield from the leap, and then throwing down a whole bunch of heals as he goes for an escape into the tower here. And the blue players pursuing hard. Shady using Race Against Time to be very mobile here. Look, he's not wasting the stamina on the roll. Right away going into the Race Against Time to break the immobilize. And I love that little bounce. That's a pretty tricky maneuver to pull off. So really nice stuff. And look at that beautiful leap rolling through the group a couple times, and then managing to pick off the lower health player as he tries to dive off the end there. And Shady right away getting back behind a bit of terrain there. The blue players just kind of following him around in circles, and Shady just rotating around, putting damage into that target, and then hitting him with the fossilize into the whip to finish him. And that's where the clip cuts off, so we don't get to see the end of it. Now, moving on to the next fight, we have got DragooX, and today he's playing some Stamina Nightblade for us. He's hanging out inside this keep. There you see, he tries to go for a gank on the blue players that are looking for him. And he gets back into stealth, gets another big combo off on that guy. The Celine coming down into the ultimate as well. And then Dragoo opens again with another combo. He's going for the elemental weapon out of stealth into the light attack, surprise attack. And there you see him land the whirlwind to finish off that Sork as he enters the fight. And Dragoo just goes for some heals, gets back into stealth. Unfortunately, looks like there was a bit of a stealth detect potion there. The Dragonknight just attacking him right out of stealth and hitting him with that leap. Dragoo goes for a little bit of a retreat and then gets back into stealth, gets a good combo on that player with the light attack into the ultimate. Unfortunately, he's unable to stick out the kill there. And the blue player's putting a lot of pressure on Dragoo, and he goes for that cheeky kite dropping down this side and sitting on the edge of the building, and one enemy player follows him, and just look, he unloads a big combo on him, and there's the whirlwind to finish him off. Another enemy player follows him down into the death trap. Dragoo opens from stealth, that huge crushing weapon, light attack, surprise attack combo, and then one poke with the whirlwind to finish him off. And look, the blue player actually going for the res at that distance. Dragoo very quickly landing the kill on the res player, and it looks like that happens for a little bit, and it looks like even more blue players actually jump down to join the fight, and Dragoo's got two more players in this little spot here, and more blue players falling off the edge. Dragoo gets a good combo on that player, but he ends up falling off the edge too, and now Dragoo's going to abandon that spot. He goes into cloak, drops down, and he opens with the combo out of stealth, the elemental weapon, the light attack, surprise attack, and then the whirlwind. So much damage off that combo. Celine's doing some big damage too, and Dragoo gets around the corner and again opens with a huge combo on that guy, almost dropping him from full to zero, and he goes around the corner, re-stealths up, and opens on the same sorcerer. The enemy Sork this time going for a lot of movement, kiting around. Dragoo's unable to stay on top of him. He switches targets to this enemy player up top. Big damage again with the light attack, surprise attack, and then the whirlwind to finish him off. And just look at that combo. Oh my god, Dragoo is just being chased around the keep by these guys and dropping huge combos out of stealth on them, and then retreating right away back into cloak. The enemy players just picking up the dead with the res, and Dragoo again goes for that combo on the enemy player there. He actually manages to roll off the edge this time, but Dragoo's going to pursue him towards the entrance of the inner side of the keep here, and he just gets the kill as the player uses the door, and Dragoo right away going for the next target. This guy does not see him from behind. He gets a great opening combo on that guy, and there's the light attack into the whirlwind to finish him off. And there's that elemental weapon, the Selines, the light attack, surprise attack, the whirlwind, just like that. Another player going down. Dragoo opens up again with a huge combo on this guy as he's AFK. Dragoo just slapping everybody here. Oh my god, these poor guys. That blue player almost made it to the door, but Dragoo lands so much damage from stealth, just killing him as he's about to go through. And then he's spotted by the enemy Templar. More blue players converging on him. And Dragoo goes for a kite around the corner. Huge combo on that guy as he comes around. The light attack, surprise attack, elemental weapon. Some crazy damage on that Nightblade. And Dragoo actually has a build for this guy, so I'll put a link to that build in the description for you guys if you want to check it out. And finally, the last clip for you guys today. We've got some Magicka Templar brought to us by Miami, and this is a crazy fight. This was actually from the last patch before the bubble was nerfed. So the bubble has a bit more healing power in that patch than it does now. But Miami is fighting a lot of yellow players, trying to actually just kite away from them. And as he pulls away, this poor blue player gets pulled out of stealth, and the yellows just quickly converge on him. Miami just kind of staying there, waiting to get the attention of the yellow group, and then he quickly finds himself getting surrounded here. And the healing power from that bubble doing a great job. Miami throwing down some power of the lights, trying to put some pressure into these guys. And then he gets back around the corner of this rock here. Some yellow players falling off the edge. There's the Dawnbreaker from Miami, trying to go for a few jabs there, but Miami actually ends up falling off the edge. And this is where the fight just gets crazy. So Miami has got all of these players on top of him, and he's just going to fight them in this field. He goes for the pressure with the jabs there, and the healing he gets from the sweeps allows him to tank out the damage, bringing one yellow player down, and then Miami right away just going into the sweeps. The yellow player stacking up really nicely for him. Miami able to absorb the incoming pressure. Here comes the siege as well. A really good kite as Miami avoids all of those siege shots, and then just keeping that bubble up, keeping the healing circles down. And Miami is only using the one tree to line of sight here, goes for the ultimate off the resto staff, and then right away into those jabs. The enemy yellow players trying to heal themselves and tank out the damage. Miami keeping the pressure up, sticking to the jabs and rolling out of it as he gets the kill, going for that Honor the Dead, switching again into the bubble, and just doing his best to tank out as much damage as possible, set himself up so he can transition back into the jabs, landing a good stun off the toppling charge. Miami keeping up the jabs on that enemy Templar. Unfortunately, the pressure from the enemy groups a lot. Miami forced into the defensive gameplay, and he's got the Dawnbreaker, throws it down. Rough time to get hit by that incoming stun from the Sork. Miami quickly resets the heals, throws down the Purge as well. There's a big Honor the Dead, and Miami trying to find some targets to hit with the jabs to keep that pressure up, but the yellow player's putting a lot of pressure on him. Goes for a very quick kite around the corner, and then right away into pressure with the jabs. The enemy player's getting a nasty stun on Miami there. He gets back behind this little bit of wall, and then switches into the bubble. The negate comes down as well. Miami quickly rolling out of it and going for those heals, catching himself very low HP with that healing ultimate to save himself, goes into the bubble, and then right away the gap closer onto the player that's kind of outside from the rest of the group, managing to get great damage with the jabs, finishing off that Warden, and Miami just switches again into the defensive abilities, purging off those incoming curses and stuff as well, and big damage with the jabs on that guy. He is catching them with their pants down with the burst on this, and the healing power from the bubble and jabs allows Miami to put big pressure. There you see his health just shoots up as he attacks. The Dawnbreaker comes down as well. The enemy Sork trying to tank it out with his Twilight Matriarch heal. Miami just keeping on the pressure with jabs. It's allowing him to tank out the damage as well, but the Sork managing to escape. Miami switching into the bubble, resetting a few buffs, and then right away staying on top of that enemy sorcerer. The Sork rolls away. Miami goes for the stun at the end of the roll, again into the jabs, and the rest of the yellow players staying on top of him here. Miami again switching to the bubble, and this time he goes for a target switch onto this enemy player, catching this guy with his buffs down. He only has the bubble up. There's the Dawnbreaker. The enemy player, I think, getting the block on that, and Miami is unable to stick that kill out, but he just resets the buffs and then right away goes for pressure with the jabs. There's the stun off the toppling charge, and he finishes that guy off as well. Miami almost having taken down all the yellows here, and here they come charging back after respawning. Miami turning around. He's got his bubble up. He goes for a lot of jab pressure, hitting a lot of players, getting some great healing power there. But there is a nasty incoming stun. Miami rolls back behind the tree, gets a good heal with the Honor of the Dead, and he's kind of forced into the healing ultimate, but he uses it to be very aggressive here, keeping the jabs up as well. Catching this guy off guard with a good combo, but he right away switches into block. There comes the enemy Nova as well. Miami gets pulled by the Dark Convergence, and then just right away the race against time to break that snare and the immobilize, and then resetting the buffs behind the tree and into those sweeps, putting good pressure on the front few players, but this time Miami is taking a lot of damage himself. The bubble just gets reset again, and Miami again transitioning back into the jabs. He's got the Dawnbreaker ready. A nice smack, getting a stun on every single player there, and that Sork just saving himself at the last moment with negate. Miami unable to stick the kill there, and he just goes back behind the tree, tries to reset and re-engage with the Sork, but finds himself taking a lot of pressure from these yellow, and he's forced to retreat back behind the tree again, kiting out the yellow as he goes into the field, again just throwing down a ton of heals with Honor the Dead. The bubble doing so much work, staying in his healing circles as well. Miami doing everything he can on the Plar, purging off the negative effects to stay alive, and he manages to keep his health pretty high here, and then there's the transition into the Resto ult. That's going to buy him the offensive time he needs. He goes for the toppling charge right away into the jab pressure, catching this guy off guard. The enemy player just managing to get to the heals in time. And, well, we used the bonus clip at the start of the episode today, so I'm going to let you guys enjoy the last bit of Miami's fight as we say goodbye. A huge thank you to everybody for sending in those clips. Of course, there are links to everybody featured in today's episode down below. Be sure to check out these fantastic ESO content creators. And if you want to send in your own clip for the top 5, you can send that to KristoferESO@hotmail.com. You can check out my website, KristoferESO.com, for written guides to my builds and featured builds. And of course, if you want to catch some live gameplay from me, you can follow me on Twitch. Give me a follow on Twitter if you want to keep up to date with me. This show is sponsored by What the Fast. They're a VPN for gamers. They can give you better ping to your favorite games, free to try for the first month. There's a link down below in the description for you. And last but not least, a massive thank you to all of my patrons on Patreon. Thank you for supporting the show. Thank you everybody for tuning in and watching. As always, I hope that you guys enjoyed, and have a great night, everybody.